You'll find sometimes at a hardware store or online, there'll be scythes available for like 60 bucks or 80 bucks. If it's under $100, it's almost certainly not going to be something you want. You can really see the difference. We've got all three types of blades represented here. Bush blade is very short, very thick, and they're meant for your late season goldenrods, your saplings, your like really coarse old field successional space. This is ditch blade, as they're called in the industry. It's a little thinner in this profile. It's longer, it's lighter, and it can hold a better edge. So it can deal with a little bit of saplings, a little bit of like coarse material, but it's meant more in general for the average stuff you'd find in a field. Then you've got Vincent's tool here, which is quintessentially a hay blade. Very long, very thin. It can be an absolute razor blade, but that's the only tool that's going to give you basically like a mowed lawn. You can take hay with that. Mixed context mowing, ditch blade is going to really get you most of what you need to get done. Orchard mowing, grass mowing, putting by a little bit of hay, etc. You're almost certainly going to find a snath and handle set like this. So again, snath being this long part. If you're looking at old farms in America, and the weight on this is probably 5 or 6 times heavier than these. These are European style, very light, very nimble. They're fragile, more fragile in that I've broken handles and stems by being way too aggressive with it. I really think it's important to speak to the safety, the importance of the safety with this tool. You nick your foot with this, or if you nick somebody else's foot with this, that's that. They're gonna be out of commission for a long time, working wise. This is a razor blade on a stick. So if there are cats around, or kids around, or dogs around, all these things that would be scared if you were running a lawnmower, as you're mowing, be very aware who's walking past you, who's behind you, what's going on, not just what you're mowing. You know where the blade is, you have control of it, and you can see what's going on. So anytime I start hearing dogs bark, that kind of thing, I bring the blade up, I try to assess what's going on, and when you're done for the day, I wipe the blade down in the field, get all the material off, and then when I bring it back to the shed, I wipe it down with a dry cloth, and I wipe it down with a little bit of an oiled cloth. Let's just say be ready to spend 300 bucks for a tool that probably will last you the rest of your life, and you can hand it off to somebody else to last their life. No gas, no electricity, none of that stuff forever for 300 bucks. Along with it, you would want to get a whetstone. I'm going to show you how to sharpen this morning. A whetstone carrier, it should be waterproof. Peening jig is what will, you would set this in a wooden block, and what it allows you to do is that the whetstone renovates the blade edge. After a while, the blade material draws back enough that you want a peening jig, which is what will pull the metal forward. It gives you fresh metal, which you can then sharpen. Take the whetstone. I like to take the skinny edge, but generally the whetstone has the correct profile for the angle of the blade when it's touching the top of the scythe just lightly. I try to have contact with both the top and the end of the blade. You can also see how you're sharpening by where it's getting shinier at the bottom of the blade. So if it's just at the very end, you're sharpening at too steep an angle, you're going to be kind of dulling the blade more than anything. And if it's way up in the paint, you're missing the edge. It's better to take a lot of light strokes, mow a little bit, come back to it, than to take really aggressive strokes for a long time. So you're really just touching it up. I go back and forth a little bit. I hold the blade so I'm in a safe way. I move down so I'm still holding it. And then I go back. I like to use the flatter side on the back, and you just simply, very lightly, are touching it up, because all that sharpening on the front leaves little curls of metal that go over to the other side. So this is kind of like stropping it a little bit. It puts the metal back in a nice straight line. If you're mowing for longer than 5 minutes and you haven't stopped and sharpened, you're doing yourself a disservice. It's going to be more work than it needs to be. So let's go down a little ways and we'll do some mowing. The back of the blade really should be in contact with the ground through the stroke and then back. It keeps the blade in contact with the ground so that you're getting the most out of the blade. You're not mowing with one little part of the blade. So as you mow and then you stroke back through the material, the blade is feeling the next stems. So I'm trying to do a pass that's nice and low. The higher I am, the less, obviously less material, less effect that I'm having. If I'm so low that I'm coming back and seeing dirt on the blade, I'm too low. Yes, I definitely am using my arms when I do this work. They're certainly involved, but it's my legs that are moving me through the process, right? So my arms are there, they're doing stuff, but really my legs are grounded, and they're what are facilitating the real swing. The other thing that's really nice about taking your stroke back through the material for the next one, there are going to be some things you didn't cut that get flattened down. You bring it back, it stands them up so you can do it again. Absolutely, truly night and day difference between mowing now, before the dew has been driven off in the early morning, and in the evening. It's swollen and lubricated by water. It cuts so much easier than at the end of day when all day moisture's been driven off it and it tightens up.